totally bad. Well, you see, no. The thing was, I had a very intellectual boyfriend at the time of Carry On, doing the Carry Ons, and he came to the premiere of Carry On, Teacher, and I was very mad about him. And he was a very, very fine director, but he was on the intellectual straight side of theatre, and I thought, I don't think he could possibly put up with me if I did any more carry-ons, which of course I was instantly sorry when they'd said, oh no, you're not going to get £50 a week extra. I was very sorry. And so we went on to do As You Like It at Stratford-on-Avon with Vanessa Redgrave, which was a huge, huge success, and made Vanessa Redgrave the star that she became, and I was the second girl in that. And so my career, I suppose you could call it, went off onto a much straighter, more dramatic level thereafter for some years.
Talking about comedy then, you're best known not recently for Gimme Gimme Gimme, which I should imagine from some of the outfits you wore was great fun to play.
Well, yes, it was. But everybody I knew in the business had been up for that part of whatever she was called, Beryl Merritt, Gimme Gimme Gimme, because they just didn't know really what it was or how to play it. So when they came across me as a sort of, I always play starchy people, humorless starchy people, you see. And then they kind of suggested it, and they thought it was a different way to go at it. So it was a very remarkable, it was hell to rehearse to start with. Again, like the Gimme Gimme Gimmes, like the Carry-Ons, one thought, this is rubbish, this is absolute nonsense. But the sheer fire and commitment of James Dreyfus and Kathy Burke doing their very strange parts, and me doing my pretty odd part, the audience came to love the characters, so it was glorious fun actually recording it, because the audience was just so on our side. It was blissful, and it was absolutely hell to rehearse.
Basil did and directed Desert Mice. We were an Ensa group, and there was Sid James, Alfred Marks, Dora Bryan, Irene Handel, Patricia Breen, and myself, and Mr. Dick Bentley.
Reginald Beckwith.
And Reginald Beckwith.
Oh.
So we were this Ensa group, and all got on well, and it was super. And on the last, ostensibly, nearly the last day of the film, they were overrunning. Michael Relf asked NATKE, which is the electrical union, and ACTT, which was the cameras and things, whether they would work what is called an extra day. I don't know if even you know this, and if you don't, it's my category,
Okay.
my copyright. So we were all in this van, this group of actors that I just told you, as the Ensa group, and someone came up and said, oh, we're doing an extra day, we're working so that they don't have to do another day on Monday, so it would have been a Friday, you see. So Sid said, well, who's asked us? And I said, no, what a cheek, you know, we're all equity, and they've asked NATKE, and they've asked ACT, why shouldn't they have asked us whether we wanted to work an extra day? So Sid said, well, I think it may have been Alfred Marks. Well, we should have an equity deputy. So which poor sod did we choose? Which was Dick Bentley, who I think it was his first, probably in his last film. And said, you be our equity deputy. We were more tongue-in-cheek, you know, but I think we had, obviously with that lot, we were all comedy people, if you like, and having a sense of humour about it. And so we said to Dick Bentley, you go on behalf of equity and say, you know, why haven't you asked us? And if I may use foul language, because that's what nowadays one can use the word without the asterisks, but he approached Basil Dearden and he said, on behalf of equity, you know, deputy now, you've not asked us. And he said, fuck off, and I'll never use any of you again. And up until then, he had used Reginald Beckwith I believe, in all his films. And then, no, so there was no contrast after that film because, to my knowledge, no one ever worked for them again.
Liz, what's it like working with Peter Sellers?
Great. I mean, I knew him quite well before the actual film of I'm a White Jack. I've been on television, in television. He had the television series, didn't he?
Idiot
Oh
Weekly.
gosh.
Idiot Weekly?
Yes, he did. He had, no, it wasn't with Spike. I know that I was in one with Peter, and I knew Peter, and also, so my relationship, I'd known him as a sort of a mate before I did I'm a White Jack, because that was fairly new to both of us, certainly to me, and it was one of his first really big parts. And but he was very childish in as much as if you disagreed with him in any way whatsoever, you would have an enemy for life, you know. And he was very acquisitive. He would have a new car, and you'd all go out and look at it, and then the next week you'd go out and see another new car, and he would do the same with cameras and things. He was very tricky, but I managed to keep on the right path with him.
And was he good on the floor working? That's the phrase.
Yeah. I
That's
think he
what
was
you
on the
say.
floor with quite a lot of people. But yes, acting-wise, he was an excellent actor. I did tell recently at the, I think it was in the thing that was on television.
Films Forever.
Yeah. About the fact with I'm a White Jack was his first film virtually, and the second one was Two-Way Stretch, and he'd been given a choice of which parts, and he chose the part that he did play. And then after a week, he decided that he would rather play the other part, which was the Wilfred Iron White part. And he said that they weren't that far enough in, and he would like to switch. And of course, they couldn't do that, and wouldn't do that. And so he was very upset, and he was very sulky in some of the scenes that followed. So he was tricky.
Can I ask, Liz, do you have any memories of making Double Bunk, which is one of my
It's my
favourite?
favourite film. It's my absolute favourite film. It's the only thing that, if it was on, I would be watching it.
And you get to sing on the soundtrack as well. You get to sing on the soundtrack as well.
Yes, that's right. I did have that little record at one time, but I haven't got it anymore.
It's on my iPod actually.
Oh, I just loved that film. I loved it. The atmosphere, the story, it was fun. Dennis Price, of course, who I worked with several times, Dennis Price. I was working with the same people. But that was my, oh, shut up. I had to live with this. Worse than Peter Sellers. But yeah, I'm glad you said that, because lots of people haven't even heard of it, but I loved it.
Well, it is on DVD now, you can get it quite easily if
Is it?
anyone wants to
Yeah.
see
Oh, I haven't
it.
got DVD. I had one and I couldn't cope with it, so I threw it away. But, oh yes, I'm glad you like that. It's a great film.